So getting to the A15 explanation, this is one of those assignments that is going to give you the opportunity to recycle a lot of code that you've used before. And this is a redo of the ATM project way back from the very beginning of class. And that redo is going to be an object-oriented redo that uses inheritance to create a superclass of bank account, or just account, and then child classes of checking and savings, where the checking has all of these inherited properties and methods, but it has a write check and a check number. Now, for those of you that don't actually write checks, which is probably most of you, what you may not know is that checks of the paper variety have a number on them that is sequential. So it just counts. Every time you write a check, it goes up by one. And that allows you to track which check numbers have gone to which institutions and which ones have been paid and that sort of thing. It's a tracking mechanism. So the check number, every time you write a check, just needs to be incremented by one. You can start at 0 or you can start at 1,000. It doesn't really matter. With most checking accounts, they usually start at 1,000, so they don't think you're a newbie. So if you have a check that's number 1, they're going to think it's fake. But anyway, you can start whatever number you want for this class. But bank account, deposit, withdraw, check balance, those should be very familiar to you. Okay. And then the balance, the name of the account. You may want to have a string, that you may want to modify the string representation of the object the way we did in the library assignment or the playlist assignment. That's something you might want to do. But remember, all of those will be inherited. A savings account just has these things, nothing else. A checking account has some differences. But that's how you will put that together. A lot of that code that you already have for getting input, the menu, that sort of thing, much of that can be reused. But I've gone even further, and I have created a little template for you that actually has some of these classes and things defined. Now, one of the first things that you're going to do is you're going to realize that bank account is the superclass here, and it requires a parameter in the constructor method. So you want to make sure that one of the first things you do here is when you're creating a savings account and a checking account, you're going to want to put in the super call for the constructor method and make sure that you're doing that there, or else Python will be very, very upset with you. So that allows you to refer back to the super. Now you can see here we've got a lot of little errors here. That's just because I have defined methods that don't have anything in them. So as soon as you start adding things to those methods, you'll be fine. But I've even defined a main menu. You can just modify this to your heart's content. A show accounts method. And what you'll see here is that we're not using an aggregation class. If you want to use an aggregation class and call it like bank or something like that that holds the accounts, that's totally fine with me. Do you have to add that layer of complexity? No. The way I have it set up is just to use a simple list that's globally available to hold the accounts. It just makes things a little bit simpler because we're focusing on this one on using inheritance, and I think that's enough complexity. So here I've created the menu structure for the different things you might want to do. So you'll just have to put in the rest of that. But if you look back at the library, if you look back at the playlist, and you use a lot of your code from the ATM assignment, this shouldn't take too long, and it shouldn't be too overwhelming. The tricky part is just making sure that you have these classes set up to properly inherit what they need to inherit. So you'll see the checking account. We're going to need to do like a self dot check number, and we can set that to 1,000 or whatever. So when you create a checking account, the constructor class creates a variable called check number, and then in the right check method, you're going to be doing forgot myself again. See how that works? What a guy. All right, so all I'm doing there is just incrementing it by 1. So you write a check number increments by 1. That's it. Pretty simple. You just need to go through and fill in the blanks here. I've created a basic structure for you, so it's not too terrible, but you're going to need to fill in the structure for this. Any questions about this assignment? That's on Canvas, yeah. It's on Canvas. If you just go right here, here's a link to the lecture file template right there. Okay?
But then when I click on it, it just gives me error.
It gives you an error?
Yeah.
Let's see. This one gives me an error too. But if you download it, let's see. If you download it, it should work. Click the download link and see if it lets you do that.
What are your office hours again?
Right after this class. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.